Well, it's really insidious because what they're really all about here right now is trying to take the focus away from the huge Islamist problem that they have in a lot of communities, particularly in the north of England, and trying to make it seem like the, far right is the great bogeyman. And so it's like they are absolutely terrified of, they're basically terrified of the native British population. That's the only way to describe where the government under Keir Starmer and Labour and this whole bureaucracy is. They are terrified of, them rising up against what's going on. That's why they always try to suppress the identities of these horrible sex cases that generally involve, or so often involve, migrants just off the boat 2 days ago, and they commit something, and then they try and suppress that. They voted down an inquiry into the grooming rape gangs because they didn't want people to hear all of the evidence. And if you've heard and read some of the testimony that's online, it is nothing short of an act of war. And yet what they're doing right now, it's so sinister. They're trying to basically make being British almost itself a crime. There was another report this week or yesterday came out that British officials, as part of their social cohesion strategy, and where have we heard these words before, have decided to put out that displaying things like the Scottish flag and the St. George Cross and the Union Jack are all about basically hate. You see it there on your screen.
Unbelievable. The Union Jack is now a hate symbol, according to these clowns. I mean, what has happened to Britain is an absolute disgrace.
Well, what they're trying to do, again, it's, we spoke about this earlier in the program. They are trying to change the actual nature of the society from one that is a British society to one that is a multicultural society where you then basically have, ethnic groups that then play off each other in the politics.
But it's not multicultural, it's monoculture.
Of course.
It's the Islamic culture that is now dominating. And now I thought the whole point of multicultural was that everyone got to go.
It's not too far off what's happening in Australia, of course. We're not far behind. In fact, we're probably pretty much there already. Already, when you looked at the weekly pro-Palestinian protests, let's face it, they were anti-Israel protests, anti-West protests that were allowed to continue week on week on week across major cities here in Australia. There wasn't a single Australian flag at those either.
No,
in fact, there were flags for terrorist nations. Iran.
This is where, and I just think the language on this matters so much, and it's really important for everybody to be really clued into this, because when they talk about decolonizing Australia, they say on the leftist West side of things, this is why I talk about an Islamo-Marxist alliance here, Israel is a settler colonial state. It is illegitimate. Australia, by their lights, is also a settler colonial state. It is therefore illegitimate. Therefore, when you see people out there screaming, globalize the Intifada from Gadigal to Gaza, they are essentially calling for what happened in Gaza 2.5 years ago to happen here.
Absolutely.